Good afternoon, evening. I am still watching the news a little bit and expressing the things on my mind. The things on my mind are the fact that Canadians are mad. Like, I watched a video of this precious Canadian looking about my age, and she was like, and fuck Trump. She was at the grocery store. Like, the Canadians are boycotting American products. This video that I saw showed American products being put on the bottom shelf, and this Canadian shopper was like, you want to know why they're no longer at eye level, which they normally were? It's because people are boycotting the US. And in the comments, a lot of people were like, good, boycott the US. Like, I don't know how else. And they were US citizens saying, like, I don't know how else to do this, and when I say citizens, I include the people who are citizens because of the Constitution's birthright citizenship, just to be totally clear. So yeah, this week's news, if you ask Surrey where Gulf of Mexico is, she's like, I don't know, did you mean Gulf of America? And so I was discussing with someone at my local hardware store when I went to go get spray foam to make this outline for a paludarium that I'm making for plants and shrimp. He was like, yeah, I don't know if it's like the investors maybe of Google, like, or just like who, because I was like, I have a Gmail account, like a Google photo, like, how do I even, I've been boycotting Amazon. I accidentally shopped at Whole Pets. But anyways, we were just like, how does Google get behind this? Like, the man hops on a plane as they're flying over the Gulf of Mexico, says it's Gulf of America. He trolls a pop star, and the next day, just like, how did you even have time for all of these things? How did you have time to make fun of Taylor Swift and just unilaterally, unceremoniously change? Like, the pilot came on, whatever, I guess he flies on Air Force One. He's like, oh, it's historic. We're flying over Air Force One. And I will say last time he was president, I didn't listen to his voice basically all 4 years. I would read transcripts. You know, I would watch talk shows and I would put it on mute and turn on captions during the Trump videos, clips of him speaking. And this time I've just been like, okay, I'm gonna have to get information. It's coming so quickly. I can't just be reading transcripts all the time and getting information other ways. So, anyways, yeah, it was disgusting to watch him say that. And one talk show host was like, oh, that pilot interrupted him. He got him to shut up. That was impressive. Um, so yeah, we've got the Canada thing, we've got the Gulf of Mexico thing. We want to and when I say we, I'm being just so deeply ironic, right? Like, because the rest of the world might think this way. Like, we as Americans, what I want to do, I want to relocate people. I want to get the Palestinians out of Gaza because it's a hellhole. It's a hellhole, right? This from the man who called, I forget where, a shithole country, or just in general referred to shithole countries. Like, clearly he was referring to the Gaza Strip, we now know, because he thinks we need to relocate them. And then his idea, he's like, oh, we're going to turn it into like this big fancy like resort. It's such a beautiful spot. Like, it has such potential. We're going to fix it up and bring them back. And you know what this man means as like, as slaves. It's not going to be like, oh, we have all these establishments here and we're going to give you good and equal pay. Like, we don't do that in our own country. No, we're still not at a livable wage. Like, yeah, the wage is like 7.25 federally an hour, and your boy Elon Musk, who's actually running the government, and Doge, and has my social security number, makes, the last I read was 16 million an hour. The man is almost a trillionaire, the last that I read, which I'm sure at this point, like, you know, he's got interest in Beijing, like, which I don't understand. We did an international, like, all over the world, steel and aluminum. I think it's a 15% tariff on that now. And so that would include China, which is like, and I read an article that said China was doing some things to reduce their dependence on the US agricultural industry. That was an article from back in December. So I don't like, I assume that Elon was kind of like, hey, trade war's coming. Like, I want to keep my business interests going here. Ultimately, the plan is like, we're going to hang out with Russia and, like, fuck Mexico, fuck Canada, fuck the Gaza Strip, the whole Middle East, let them take care of themselves because we're going to relocate the Palestinians there. So we won't even really have to worry about them. Like, we know that us getting involved after 9/11, which just like, by the way, I know it's such a conspiracy, but like, we benefited so much from 9/11. That part is not a conspiracy. Like, there's stuff around it, but like, we made so much money from what happened from our excuse to get to go in there. And apparently, like, we did the same thing there that we did with Mexico. Like, the Mexican, I think it was the president of Mexico. Is it a woman? It was a woman speaking. And she was like, yeah, like maybe the US could address their own gangs and like a lot of the US drugs, like they don't all, like, she's just saying like, why are you trying to get up in our business? She was also saying like, yeah, our cartels, I think she said like 70% of the weapons maybe were like from the US. It's just like, oh, she was just going so hard and so professionally, but she was just like, basically like, oh, do our cartels have weapons that are dangerous to you all? That is so, oh my gosh, maybe you should stop giving our cartels weapons so that they can stop coming at y'all with all their drugs and sneaking them in. Like, just everyone's pissed, and I know that has to be the plan. Like, his inauguration speech, whenever he was like, we're going to be a world power. I don't know if he used that phrase exactly, but, was we're going to put stars and stripes on Mars. That was enough to just kind of imply like first the world, then then the universe. But he literally said like there will be no wars, and now he's saying like if these hostages aren't released by Saturday, apparently his quote was all like hell will break loose, something about hell breaking loose. Um, like, okay, so no wars, got it, got it, got it, cool, cool, cool. Just like he's pissing people off, trying to take in the place of the people used to help, like since we're not doing foreign aid. That's pretty much everything on my mind, I guess. I feel really sad for the trans people that aren't in sports right now who are going to school. Like last week we're on their basketball team and this week they're not. I don't even remember when exactly that happened. I don't know if the Democratic 30-hour filibuster has happened yet. Oh, but the biggest thing, the fact that he hasn't released the federal funds, that he hasn't unfrozen them despite a federal judge's order. And the federal judge was like, we can talk about contempt of court if you don't start doing this. And apparently, like 4 years ago, JD Vance made a post somewhere, I guess X or whatever, being like, yeah, like we need to make the federal government smaller, right? Like fire all these branches. And the point of it was, he said, let's let the courts, like, I think he said, try to address that. It was just like, yes, it's going to come down to the executive branch versus the courts. And apparently this was 4 years ago that JD Vance had this attitude. So it's like, well, yeah, of course, like you fit right in with everyone wanting to reduce the amount of checks and balances that we had, right? No inspectors general. We just like, um, I don't know. The thing that makes me so upset is watching the J6 videos of those cops getting hurt. I'm telling you, I watched a video today of Trump saying, no one in American history, he said, I can only think of one other situation. He was like, I'm not going to get into it right now, so I'm waiting for that egg to drop, coin to drop, whatever. Um, I just like, he said that they were treated so badly and that they were assaulted. And I just know that some people who voted Trump in this last election were saying, like, oh, yeah, January 6th was like pretty fucked, but like, oh, well, Hillary also didn't announce that she lost just because Trump didn't say that he lost. Like, and these people go do that doesn't mean that he wanted it. And it's like there's tweets saying that he wanted it, wanted these people there. And just now those people kind of have to eat their words, right? Because it's like, all right, well, what do you say? Like, you didn't want to say that he told them to go be there, right? That's what Trump was kind of saying, just by just every other elected official basically confirming that that's exactly what was going down. Even Mike Pence was like, Trump is being shitty here. Like, phew, Pence, bro, Pence raised the bar. Like, so yeah, what do you say now that they're, I was gonna say out of prison. Some of them are back in prison, like, duh. But anyways, um, the thing that's floating, the big thing is the Constitution apparently doesn't clearly cover what happens when a president is in contempt of courts. My under, my understanding is that there could be consequences. Other, like, how would that have slipped by in the Constitution? That's something I don't understand yet. Something I also, no, I was going to say I don't understand why he would want war in the Middle East, but just like let them take care of themselves so that we can take their resources, less people to have to address. Same thing that he's doing with, Medicare, and like if Elon wants to just like all the social security financial information, like he's got his hand on stuff, y'all. And one reputable news site um said get out there in March. They were like, yeah, this is the action to take now, like get out there in March. And it's like, oh my God, we're there now. And then another one's like, yeah, but then if you go March, like they have your social now, like we could get to a point where like, nah. So things are concerning. Uh, yeah, good luck to us all. I volunteer as tribute, I guess. What the fuck ever. Okay.